Now, joining me on the phone is Rabbi Marvin Hier, a two-time Academy Award winner, the founder of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and a major advocate for human rights and tolerance around the world. Today, he joins us all the way from Los Angeles, just in time for Holocaust Memorial Day. Thank you so much for joining us, Rabbi.
It's a pleasure.
Let's first start by talking about the work that you have been doing at the Simon Wiesenthal Center. Part of the mission statement of the center is to promote Holocaust education. Has this gotten more challenging in recent times, given the fact that there are fewer and fewer survivors?
Absolutely. First of all, there are fewer survivors, as you point out. Secondly, as I say many times when I speak, when in Hitler's final testament, just before he committed suicide, Hitler predicted it would take a few centuries for anti-Semitism to take hold again. And here we are, 70 or 75 years after the Holocaust, and there's hardly a place on this planet where anti-Semitism is not in vogue, whether it's Europe, Scandinavian countries, the United States, Canada, England, France, everywhere. And that shows you, that Hitler himself would have been shocked by this, because he thought that after murdering 6 million Jews, the world would learn. But the world has not learned.
Speaking of that, why does it seem that more and more political leaders are misconstruing the Holocaust, like current French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen or former London Mayor Ken Livingstone?
Oh, well, because they not only do they misconstrue it, they try to say that anti-Israel, in other words, if you hate Israel, Israel is the largest Jewish community in the world. Almost 7 million Jews live in the state of Israel. When you hate Israel and you hate Israelis, that is anti-Semitism.
Do you see a growing problem with soft Holocaust denial, especially given White House spokesman Sean Spicer's recent comments on Hitler's use of chemical weapons, and also the fact that the White House failed to mention Jewish victims on International Holocaust Remembrance Day last January?
Those were two unbelievable mistakes. And could you imagine a 13-year-old kid in the United States has watched on television, whether it's Schindler's List, whether it was the television series Holocaust, whether it was Herman Wouk's War and Remembrance, and the press secretary of the United States doesn't know the implications by comparing Syria to Adolf Hitler. That's preposterous. And really, it was quite unbelievable. I don't think that Spicer is an anti-Semite. I think that would be an unfair charge. But it shows that it is possible to be, in the United States of America, the press secretary of the President of the United States and not know anything about the Holocaust.
That is true. Now, let's turn to something very exciting that happened to you. Why do you believe that the State of Israel decided to select you as the first non-Israeli to light the torch during this year's Independence Day celebrations? Congratulations.
I have no idea, why I was selected. It is an honor. I don't take it as a personal honor. I think it honors our organization. It says that the work of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, particularly in an age where, as I said before, Israel is the target of the international community, meaning the United Nations agencies. Anti-Semitism is prevalent all over the world. I think that it is the work of the Simon Wiesenthal Center that led whoever made the selection in the Israeli government, the Minister of Culture and others, to select. So I represent the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and personally, I represent generations in my own family that going back, those who were murdered in the Holocaust, and others who never dreamed that there would come a time soon when the Jewish people would return to the promised land. And so I consider myself privileged and an honor to represent my family and the Jewish communities of the diaspora.
Now, this is a question that I had for you the last time that you were here, but we ran out of time. I didn't have enough time to ask you. You know, you've become famous for creating documentaries and films that educate people about the Holocaust. And among the most influential films that you actually worked on and consulted for is Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List, correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about how this, first of all, what that experience was like, and, you know, how you think this movie has impacted people's perceptions of the Holocaust today?
I think this movie is incredible because it told a story of, it presented the Holocaust very, in other words, it took a non-Jew and, you know, it took Oskar Schindler, who was a Jew, and other non-Jews who worked there, and told a story that made it so personal. And I have to tell you that when I went to the set, with Steven Spielberg, he took us to the set when they were filming this mass scene where Nazis were rounding up Jews. Even though we knew that this was acting, that this wasn't the real thing. I tell you that I was with Mrs. Spielberg, with Steven Spielberg's mother. She began to cry. We thought it was real. On the effect that this film had on the world. It turned so many people, those who knew nothing about the Holocaust, and it was quite an extraordinary experience. And I can tell you that Stephen, you might ask, what did I contribute? What was my advice in the film? I had only two aspects of advice in the film. One was that the person who made Kiddush originally was a cantor who pronounced the Kiddush in perfect Sephardic Hebrew, the Hebrew that is now spoken in the modern state of Israel. But of course, in 1941, 1942, there was no such Hebrew. So I said this would be a mistake. And so we selected a survivor who just came into shul one day here in Los Angeles, and I saw he had a Polish accent, that I recommended him to Stephen. And he said the Kiddush. And when I saw him next, he said that he was so proud to make Kiddush for this film because he thinks that more people would have listened to his Kiddush than heard Moses on Mount Sinai.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for telling us about this incredibly unique experience that you had, and thank you so much for joining us, Rabbi. I hope we'll have you back soon.
Thank you.